the rain pounded hard against the windows as thunder rumbled in the distance. 1-year-old Lily, barely steady on her knees, crawled across the living room floor with wide, curious eyes. Her soft pajamas were damp from drool and her tiny fingers gripped the cold tiles as she made her way toward the glass patio door. She stopped just inches from the glass, staring intently outside into the storm. Her little hand rose, fingers pointing shakily at something. "Bah, bah," she babbled, pressing her palms flat against the glass. Outside, barely visible through the sheets of rain, stood a large, mud-soaked German shepherd. Her legs trembled as she stared back at Lily, eyes wide, pleading, almost human. Every few seconds, she'd take a small step forward, pause, then look back over her shoulder. That's when Lily saw them. 3 tiny puppies, soaked, shivering, and curled beneath the branches of a bush just behind the mother. Their whimpers were muffled by the rain, their movements barely noticeable. But Lily noticed. She pressed harder on the glass, little fingers fumbling toward the door latch, grunting and whining as if trying to pull it open. Her movements weren't random, they were desperate. Suddenly, a soft creak came from the hallway. Lily's mother, Riley, appeared with a towel in hand, expecting a normal diaper change or maybe a spilled bottle. But what she saw stopped her in her tracks. The storm outside. The baby at the glass. And beyond that, a battered dog silently begging. Riley's eyes widened as her gaze locked with the German shepherd's. For one frozen moment, no one moved. The only sound was the thunder above, and the faint whimper of something that hadn't given up hope. Then Lily, her forehead pressed against the glass, whispered in her baby voice, "Mama," but she wasn't talking to Riley. She was calling the dog. For nearly a week before the storm, Lily hadn't been herself. The usually cheerful baby had grown clingy, restless, and fussy, especially at night. Riley and her husband, Jonah, chalked it up to teething. Every evening, Lily would toss in her crib, moaning softly, only settling if someone picked her up and rocked her for hours. But what struck Riley as odd was the pattern. Each time Lily awoke, she'd crawl out of their arms the moment she was on the ground and head straight for the back door, always the patio door facing the garden. At first, they thought it was a game, or maybe she liked the porch light flickering through the rain. But even during the day, Lily would sit by that door, tapping the glass with her fingers, babbling in tones that seemed almost purposeful. She wasn't just playing, she was waiting. Jonah jokes, maybe she sees ghosts. Riley didn't laugh. There was something in her daughter's eyes, a focused urgency she didn't expect from someone so small. Babies cried for milk, warmth, or sleep, not for invisible things beyond the patio door. And yet, Lily had crawled to that door over and over, every single day. Now, as Riley replayed that strange behavior in her mind, Lily's cries, her pulling toward the outside world, her odd resistance to bedtime, everything shifted. Could it be that Lily hadn't been crying randomly, but crying for something? Tonight, when she saw the muddy German shepherd staring back at her child, Riley felt a wave of dread rise in her chest. The baby hadn't just noticed something, she had felt it. And the thought sent a shiver down her spine. How could a 1-year-old know what no one else could? Riley slowly approached the glass door, her heart racing. The German shepherd didn't growl or bark, just stood there, soaked and shaking, her eyes never leaving Lily. Mud clung to her legs, and her fur was matted with grime and streaks of blood. Cuts lined her snout and chest, some fresh, others crusted over with dirt. She looked exhausted, barely able to stand. But the moment Riley stepped closer, the dog tensed and took a cautious step back. "Easy," Riley whispered, holding her hands up in a calming gesture. But the dog wasn't interested in Riley, or any adult for that matter. Her gaze shifted immediately back to Lily, who now sat on her knees, her small hands pressed against the glass, cooing softly. Then something startling happened. The German shepherd glanced at the bush behind her, then looked back at Lily, repeating the motion, once, twice. It wasn't random. It was deliberate. She was guiding Lily's eyes toward something. Riley squinted into the rain and saw it, movement beneath the bush. 3 tiny forms huddled close together, barely visible. Puppies. Cold, soaked, and crying softly. Riley gasped and turned to Jonah, who had just arrived with a flashlight. There are babies out there, with her. Jonah stepped forward to open the door, but the dog let out a warning growl and took another shaky step back, teeth bared slightly. Riley froze. But then Lily pressed her tiny palm to the lower part of the door, smiled, and babbled something only she understood. The dog's ears perked. Her tail gave a weak wag. And just like that, her defensive stance softened. Riley and Jonah exchanged stunned glances. "She's not afraid of Lily," Riley murmured. "She trusts her." With trembling hands, Jonah unlocked the patio door. The dog didn't flinch. Instead, she slowly stepped forward, limping slightly, only after making sure Lily was still watching. Riley didn't waste a second. The moment the German Shepherd stepped into their home, dripping and trembling, she grabbed her phone and called the only person she trusted, Dr. Chloe, the local veterinarian who had helped them with their old cat years ago. "3 puppies, 1 adult, she looks bad." "Real bad," Riley whispered urgently into the phone. "And one of the pups isn't moving right." Within 20 minutes, headlights cut through the storm. Dr. Chloe, soaked to the knees in rainwater, rushed into the living room with her vet kit slung across her shoulder. Her eyes widened the moment she saw the dog. "Dear God, she's been through hell," she muttered, dropping to her knees. The German Shepherd stood protectively in front of her pups but didn't growl, just watched Chloe with tired, wary eyes. Riley sat nearby, Lily in her lap, both watching in silence. Chloe moved slowly, respectfully. She offered her hand first, letting the dog sniff. When there was no resistance, she reached out and gently touched the dog's muddy chest. "Severely dehydrated, body temperature is low, and these cuts are infected," Chloe said, voice low and calm. "She's hanging on by instinct." She moved on to the puppies, checking each with careful hands. 2 were stable. But this little guy, she paused, lifting one gently. Broken leg. Swollen paw. But still warm. That's a good sign. As Chloe wrapped the injured pup in a small towel, something unexpected happened. Lily wriggled out of Riley's lap and toddled forward. In her tiny hands was her favorite stuffed lamb, soft, worn from love. She placed it gently beside the whimpering puppy, then sat down beside it, watching protectively. Everyone went still. Even the mother dog looked on, eyes softer now, as if she understood what Lily had done. Dr. Chloe blinked back tears. That baby just gave him a reason to fight. After Dr. Chloe left with a promise to return the next morning, Riley and Jonah got to work transforming their guest room into a temporary sanctuary. They laid out clean blankets, heating pads, and a shallow bowl of water. Towels were spread along the hardwood floor, and a night light was plugged into the wall to keep the space softly lit. Maya, the name they gave the mother dog after the initials on her worn collar, was hesitant at first. She sniffed every corner of the room before settling into a blanket-lined corner, the 3 puppies tucked against her belly. Her body still shook with fatigue, but her eyes stayed alert. Lily, meanwhile, refused to leave. No matter how many times Riley tried to carry her out, the baby fussed and twisted, always pointing back at the door. Finally, Riley gave in and placed a small floor cushion near Maya's resting spot. Lily waddled over without hesitation and sat down quietly, just a foot away from the dog and her pups. Jonah watched in awe. "She's not even flinching." Riley nodded slowly. "It's like she knows Lily won't hurt them." Lily reached into the pocket of her pajamas and pulled out a tiny toy, a plastic ring with soft ribbons, and gently placed it near the smallest puppy. Maya didn't growl or move away. Instead, she did something no one expected. She gently used her nose to nudge the injured puppy closer to Lily. The moment was breathtaking. As the pup curled beside the toy, Lily leaned forward, not touching, just watching, protectively. Riley swallowed hard. She trusts Lily more than us. For the first time since Maya had walked into their home, her breathing slowed. The tension in her body eased. The room, despite the rainstorm still howling outside, felt calm, safe. And at the center of it all was a baby and a broken dog, silently comforting each other in a way no one else could. The next morning, as sunlight filtered weakly through the clouds, Dr. Chloe returned with a small scanner and fresh medical supplies. Maya, though clearly still in pain, remained calm as Chloe gently scanned along her shoulder blades and neck. "No microchip," she said, frowning. "Strange for a dog her age." Jonah held out Maya's old collar, which they'd removed and set aside the night before. It was faded and stiff, the leather cracked at the edges. The only clear marking was the name, Maya, engraved on a worn brass tag. But as Dr. Chloe turned the collar over, something caught her eye. On the inner side, just beneath the stitching, were faint numbers etched into the leather, K0147BK. "That's not a phone number," Chloe murmured, narrowing her eyes. "That's a kennel ID, maybe part of a larger batch." Riley leaned closer. "Like what breeders use?" Chloe nodded slowly. "Yeah. But not a registered one. These are often linked to backyard operations, unregulated, unlicensed. Places that overbreed for profit and discard the ones that can't produce." The room fell silent. Riley instinctively looked toward the guest room, where Lily sat cross-legged beside the puppies, humming softly. Maya was curled protectively around them, her eyes drifting closed for the first real rest she'd had in days. Jonah clenched his fists. "So someone just left her out there to die? With those babies?" Dr. Chloe sighed. "More like buried her to avoid liability. If she was injured or stopped breeding, she'd be considered useless to them." Riley's stomach turned. "But she found her way here." "No," Chloe corrected gently. "Lily found her." Everyone stared at the baby again. Lily was giggling now, holding one of the healthy pups in her lap as Maya watched with content eyes. For a brief moment, the horror of what Maya had endured faded into the warmth of that little room. But the numbers etched inside that collar wouldn't be ignored for long. They were a breadcrumb, leading to a story that hadn't fully revealed itself yet. Later that afternoon, the house had fallen into a quiet rhythm. Riley folded laundry in the next room while Jonah caught up on emails. But in the softly lit guest room, something beautiful and strange was unfolding. Lily sat across from Maya, legs splayed out, a soft blanket beneath her. The pups lay nestled beside their mother, dozing peacefully. Maya lifted her head every now and then, looking around with alert, gentle eyes, always returning her gaze to Lily. And Lily responded in her own way. She mimicked Maya's movements, crawling gently forward on all fours, lowering her head when Maya did, tilting it curiously when Maya flicked an ear. There was no barking, no crying, no grabbing, just silent mimicry. Riley peeked around the doorway, transfixed by what she saw. Lily reached her chubby hand toward Maya's paw and paused, as if asking for permission. Maya didn't move away. Instead, she leaned in slowly and licked Lily's fingers with a soft, deliberate motion. Riley covered her mouth, eyes welling with tears. It was more than trust. It was understanding. From then on, Lily began bringing Maya little offerings, a toy ring, a sippy cup, even a chewed teether. Maya never took them, but she allowed Lily to place them beside her. The connection between them was unspoken, pure. "She doesn't do this with anyone else," Dr. Chloe would later remark. "It's like Lily hears her without sound." As the hours passed, Maya curled protectively around her pups again, but this time, her body shifted ever so slightly, making space. Lily crawled forward and gently lay down next to them. That night, for the first time since the storm began, Maya slept without stirring, and so did Lily, wrapped in the warmth of something beyond words. The following day, as the family walked Maya carefully in the backyard for some fresh air, their elderly neighbor, Mr. Harris, leaned over the fence. His eyes widened as he caught sight of the German Shepherd padding slowly beside Riley. "Well, he muttered. "That's the dog. That's Maya." Riley looked up, surprised. "You know her?" Mr. Harris nodded solemnly, removing his cap. "I saw her before. About 2, maybe 3 months back. She was locked in a chain-link pen by that abandoned construction lot up the road. No food. No shade. Just concrete and wire. Jonah frowned. That lot's been empty for months. Who would leave her there? The old man's jaw tightened. That's the thing. No one ever really came around, except one guy in a black pickup. Didn't stay long. Then one night, I heard screaming. Dog screaming. It went on for almost an hour. He lowered his voice. And then, nothing. After that night, she vanished. I figured she was gone for good. Riley's heart sank. She looked at Maya, now lying beside Lily, who was placing flower petals around the pups. She didn't die, Riley whispered. She crawled her way to us. Mr. Harris nodded slowly, eyes misty. That dog survived something awful. But looks like she found the right place to land. Riley's eyes met Maya's for a quiet moment, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. Whatever Maya had endured, abandonment, pain, fear, she had fought through it all to reach this backyard. And somehow, it had been Lily, not any adult, who answered her cry. With Mr. Harris's account echoing in their minds and the mysterious collar numbers still nagging at them, Riley and Jonah decided it was time to alert animal control. Dr. Chloe helped provide. Her assessment, along with photos of Maya's injuries and the pup's condition, documenting clear signs of abuse and neglect. 2 officers arrived that afternoon, along with a county investigator specializing in animal cruelty. Riley handed over the collar with the strange ID code, and after a short exchange on the radio, one officer nodded grimly. We've seen this format before. Could be linked to an unlicensed kennel operation. Later that day, authorities followed a lead down a narrow dirt road just 2 miles from the Jensen home. Behind a tall, overgrown fence, they found the property, a weather-beaten mobile home surrounded by stacked crates and rusting cages. The stench hit them first. Then they saw the signs. Discarded syringes. Empty 4 bags. Scraps of rotting food. Torn collars and broken leashes scattered across the dirt. A logbook inside the home listed names and numbers, some crossed out violently in red pen. But the most haunting detail? No dogs remained. It looked like whoever ran this place had packed up in a hurry. Beds were overturned. Cabinet doors hung open. A smashed security camera lay on the ground. But no sign of the person responsible. Just a trail of cruelty left behind. Back at home, Riley held Lily close, watching as Maya gently nudged her pups toward a blanket. She'd made it out. But how many others hadn't? When the officer returned with the update, his face was grim. Your dog may have led us to something much bigger. This wasn't just neglect, it was systematic. And someone out there doesn't want to be found. Riley looked down at Lily, who now sat quietly, one puppy in her lap. She's not just a baby, she whispered. She's the one who brought Maya back to the world. By the next morning, the story had caught fire. It started with a local reporter who interviewed Riley, Jonah, and Dr. Chloe outside their home. The reporter knelt beside Lily as she sat with Maya in the grass, gently stroking the dog's back while a puppy snoozed in her lap. The headline read, "Toddler helps rescue homeless dog family, bond melts hearts." The moment the piece went live, everything changed. Photos of Lily hugging Maya, her tiny arms wrapped around the German Shepherd's neck, spread across social media like wildfire. One particular shot, Maya licking Lily's cheek while the baby giggled, struck a chord worldwide. Comments flooded in from people across the country. This baby has more heart than most adults. Proof that love needs no language. Angels come in the smallest forms. Within 48 hours, news outlets picked up the story, morning shows, animal rescue blogs, even major headlines. The footage of Maya limping into the home, and the image of the battered collar etched with Maya, became a symbol of survival. The local community responded fast. Churches, schools, and small businesses began organizing a supply drive for animal shelters. Boxes of blankets, food, medicine, and toys poured into the local vet clinic. People dropped off donations with notes like, "For Maya and her babies. In honor of Lily." The clinic was overwhelmed with kindness. Volunteers showed up. Kids brought drawings of dogs. Strangers offered to foster pets. One man drove 2 hours just to hand-deliver a care package. And through it all, Lily stayed beside Maya, her hand on the dog's paw, her smile unchanged. The world saw a story of heartbreak transformed into hope. A toddler and a mother dog, both vulnerable in their own way, had found strength in each other. And that quiet miracle was now changing lives far beyond their backyard. That evening, just as the house began to quiet down, something shifted. Maya's smallest puppy, the runt, a fragile little male with soft ears and barely open eyes, stopped nursing. He whimpered softly, body limp, breath shallow. Riley noticed first and quickly called Dr. Chloe. After a quick checkup, Chloe's expression grew heavy. "He's dehydrated and very weak," she said softly, glancing toward Maya, who licked the pup's head with increasing worry. "We can try fluids and warmth, but he might not make it through the night." Riley's heart dropped. Jonah held her hand tightly, while Maya nosed the puppy repeatedly, letting out low, anxious whines. Lily, sensing something was wrong, crawled closer. The adults watched carefully, unsure how she'd react. But Lily didn't cry or fuss. Instead, she sat cross-legged beside the little pup, her face solemn. Without a word, she reached out her hand and gently touched the puppy's paw. Then she lay down next to him, curling her body so they were side by side. Her hand never left his tiny frame. The room stayed quiet for hours. Every so often, Maya would inch closer, resting her head near her baby and Lily. The soft sound of rain tapped the windows. A warm glow from a desk lamp lit the small circle of stillness where the child and the puppy rested. No one dared interrupt. By sunrise, Riley tiptoed into the room and froze. The puppy was still there, blinking, shifting slightly, tail flicking in the blankets. Alive. Dr. Chloe returned soon after and smiled in disbelief. "He made it through the night. He's stronger." No one could explain it. No medicine had worked. No formula had been fed. Just a baby's warmth, and an unshakable connection. Riley scooped Lily up and kissed her forehead. "You saved him," she whispered. "You really did." The peace didn't last long. Late one afternoon, as Jonah mowed the front lawn and Riley prepped dinner, a dark SUV rolled slowly down their street and parked across from the house. The windows were tinted, the engine idle. A man stepped out, tall, rough-looking, with a trimmed beard and a stiff, wary gait. He approached the porch where Jonah had just walked up. "You the one with the dog?" the man asked, voice low but firm. Jonah hesitated. "Excuse me?" "The German Shepherd. Big one. Name's Maya, I think." The man's eyes narrowed. "She wandered off a while back. I've been looking for her." Before Jonah could respond, Zane, a close friend of the family and an off-duty officer, pulled up in his pickup, having just arrived to drop off dog food from the shelter. He immediately sensed tension. "Is there a problem here?" Zane asked, stepping between them. The man's eyes flicked to Zane's badge tucked at his hip. "Just looking for a lost dog." Zane crossed his arms. "Well, that dog's been through hell. And unless you've got papers proving ownership, I'd suggest you walk away." The man glared for a second, then gave a forced smile. "Just asking. No harm done." He turned and walked briskly back to the SUV. The vehicle drove off without another word, tires crunching over gravel. Jonah turned to Zane. "That was him, wasn't it?" Zane nodded grimly. "I'd bet anything he's tied to that abandoned property. Could be the breeder. Or worse." That night, the Jensen family locked every door and window. Maya refused to leave Lily's side, pacing nervously anytime footsteps were heard outside. Whatever the man's intentions had been, he was watching. Waiting. And the family knew now, their act of compassion had made them a target. The next day, during a follow-up checkup at the clinic, Dr. Chloe ran her hands gently along Maya's neck and spine, checking for any lingering injuries. As her fingers brushed past Maya's shoulder blade, she paused. "There's something here," she murmured. With careful precision, she pressed further and felt a small, firm bump beneath the skin. It wasn't scar tissue. Zane, who had come along for added security, leaned in. "Implant?" Chloe nodded, already reaching for her gloves and sterilized tweezers. "Could be a chip, but not a standard one." A few minutes later, she carefully extracted a tiny, black capsule. It wasn't labeled. No manufacturer, no standard chip ID. Zane examined it closely. "This isn't just for identification," he muttered. "It's a GPS tracker. Military grade, or close to it." Riley gasped. "They were tracking her." Zane nodded slowly, jaw tight. "Which means they knew where she went. That man from yesterday, he wasn't guessing. He knew Maya was here." Chloe carefully sealed the tracker in a metal container. "What do we do?" Zane looked directly at Riley and Jonah. "You stay quiet. No interviews, no updates online, nothing more public. Whoever did this wasn't running a simple kennel, they were trafficking, probably for illegal experiments or sales." The room felt colder. "They're not done looking," Zane said, locking the chip away. "But now we're one step ahead." Outside the exam room, Lily toddled toward Maya and hugged her neck gently. The dog leaned down and licked her cheek. They were being watched, but they weren't alone anymore. Over the next few weeks, a quiet transformation unfolded in the Jensen household. Maya, once frail and trembling, now walked with confidence. Her once matted fur had begun to grow back, glossy and thick, and her eyes, once clouded with fear, now sparkled with clarity. She greeted the family with gentle tail wags and a calm strength that had taken root with each passing day. The puppies, now strong enough to explore, followed Lily wherever she went. They tugged on her socks, tumbled over toy blocks, and curled up beside her for naps. Their bond was natural, joyful, as if they'd always been meant to grow up together. During a peaceful morning in the backyard, Riley watched as Lily ran in circles with the 3 pups chasing her, Maya sitting proudly under the shade of a maple tree. Jonah stepped beside her. "We should talk about keeping them," he said softly. Riley nodded. "Maya, definitely. Anne. I think the little one with the white paw. He's Lily's shadow." So it was decided. The Jensen family officially adopted Maya and the white-pawed pup, whom Lily adorably named Buttons. The other 2 puppies were placed with close family friends down the street, where Lily could visit anytime. Dr. Chloe stopped by that evening and smiled at the sight of Maya resting on the porch, Lily tucked beside her, cradling Buttons in her arms. "You gave her a forever home," Chloe whispered. Riley shook her head. "No. Lily did." And from that day on, the Jensen house wasn't just home, it was a sanctuary built on trust, love, and the fearless instinct of a baby who knew when someone needed saving. The news never really stopped spreading, but now, it brought joy instead of fear. The town, moved by Lily's innocence and Maya's survival, came together in a way no one expected. Inspired by their story, the mayor organized a small festival at the local park, turning what began as a tragic rescue into a celebration of hope and healing. The event was called Hearts Unleashed. There were food trucks, face painting, live music, and at the heart of it all, a special ceremony to honor Lily, Maya, and everyone who helped along the way. Lily sat on Jonah's shoulders as the mayor gave a short speech, calling her the baby who opened the door of hope. The crowd applauded wildly as Maya trotted onto the stage beside Riley, her coat gleaming in the sun, head held high. Buttons followed, nipping playfully at Lily's shoelaces. At the climax of the ceremony, the local animal shelter unveiled something unforgettable, a massive mural painted across its outer wall. It showed Maya standing tall beside her pups, Lily's tiny hand resting on her back. Rays of light broke through storm clouds in the sky above, with the words, "Every life deserves a second chance," painted boldly above the scene. People lined up to take photos with the mural, and donations to the shelter tripled over the weekend. volunteers signed up in droves. Foster applications skyrocketed. Animal rescues in nearby towns even started their own campaigns. Inspired by Lily became a movement. Later that night, as the celebration wound down and families headed home, Riley watched Maya curl up beside Lily under a picnic blanket. Fireflies blinked around them. The pups were napping. Button's nose twitched in his sleep. It had all started with a baby crawling to a door. But now, it was a whole town standing up for something bigger. The weeks that followed felt like a dream Riley never wanted to wake up from. Gone were the tense nights, the worry, the fear of someone coming back for Maya. In their place were mornings filled with laughter, puppy paws on kitchen tiles, and Lily's delighted squeals as she chased her four-legged companions through the yard. And then, it happened. On a golden afternoon, with sunlight streaming through the autumn leaves, Lily stood up. Just like that. No warning, no coaxing. She gripped Maya's fur gently and took her first steps across the grass. Riley gasped, tears welling in her eyes as she reached for her phone. Maya didn't flinch or move. She matched Lily's pace, step by tiny step, steady and patient, like she understood exactly what was happening. Buttons and his siblings followed closely, their tails wagging as they watched their human sister learn to walk. From that moment on, Maya never left Lily's side. Whether inside stacking blocks, outside picking dandelions, or curled up under a blanket for story time, she was always there, guardian, friend, and something more. Their bond had become unshakable. Even Dr. Chloe, during her checkups, marveled at Maya's transformation. Her heart healed the moment she knew Lily was safe, she'd say. And maybe, the other way around too. Every neighbor who passed by the fence was greeted by a sight that now defined the Jensen home, a toddling Lily giggling as three playful puppies tumbled beside her, and Maya walking calmly just behind, always watching. Peace had finally come, not just to the family, but to the dog who had once begged at their door with everything she had left. And somehow, they all knew, Lily hadn't just opened a door that night. She'd opened a new life. For all of them. The house was quiet, bathed in moonlight, with only the gentle hum of the baby monitor filling the night. Until Maya barked. It wasn't loud, but sharp. Alert. She stood by the sliding glass door, her ears rigid, eyes fixed on the back gate that led into the woods beyond their yard. In the nursery, Lily stirred. Then cried out, not a scream, but a soft, urgent wail. Riley rushed in and scooped her up. "Shoo, baby, it's okay," she whispered, rocking gently. But Lily wasn't looking at her. She was pointing, small fingers trembling toward the fence beyond the trees. "Maya," she said softly. "More puppies." Riley froze. She stepped into the living room, holding Lily close as Maya let out another low growl. Riley glanced outside, nothing visible but shadows dancing between trees in the faint moonlight. "Maya, what is it?" she murmured, but the dog didn't move. Just kept staring. Lily pressed her face into her mother's shoulder and repeated, barely audible, "More scared puppies." Jonah joined them, sensing the tension. "Do you think there's another one out there?" No one answered. The night air felt too still. Too expectant. Riley looked out again, heart pounding. She didn't see anything, but she felt it. Something, or someone, was waiting. Red square cliffhanger line. One door opened to safety, but another was still waiting in the dark.